What you're about to witness took me 3 hours. Now don't get me wrong, I am a patient man when it comes to command blocks, but this was just crazy. What I have constructed today is absolutely insane, and it took me quite a long time to build. Now it doesn't look like much at the moment, but what you're looking at here is a fully functional parkour course. Whoop, leg spike. It doesn't look like it until you look round the back. This took me 3 hours to build. 3! And most of that time was just placing in all these command blocks. This took me quite a long time, and in case you didn't pick it up by the title of today's video, these are snake blocks. So how this works, when I stand on here, the snake blocks begin to travel. This is a concept that has existed in Mario for quite some time, and I'm very happy to see that I was successfully able to implement this into Minecraft. So this is going to go along a split path. So we're going to take this path. That other path dead ends. And you see up ahead we got a 1x1 gap here. We can't go through there, so we have to jump over here. And then jump back on. Well, that was weird. So, these are all functional. And I'm going to take you through the building process of this right after I'm done with this little demonstration. But eventually, it's going to come here, and the snake blocks get removed behind it. So there you go. That's a full-fledged demonstration. So how does this thing work? Well, first things first, let's talk about how it initially works. These 3 blocks here, these are lime concrete, obviously. However, when I stand on them, it turns to wool. Why does it do that? It's because of these 2 command blocks right here. Well, actually, just this one. This one is set to start the snake blocks upon me stepping on the lime concrete. That sets the command block, that sets a redstone block here, which activates this massive line of commands. Now all this is doing, well, that's a bad example. All this is doing is placing these blocks one by one in their corresponding spots. All of these command blocks are doing the exact same thing, just at different locations. These chain command blocks, however, are removing the blocks, I think 7 blocks away from where it initially starts. And I also have these 2 here. I'm not entirely sure why I have those 2 here. I think it's because, like, I missed some in this design. So I just stacked them up here. I was having some issues. Some of the commands weren't working, so I had to stack them here. When I actually implement this into a map, I shouldn't have that problem. But this took quite a long time to build. Oh, and then there's this command block which places the reset button back where it's at. So this is a really, really complex contraption. And you'll notice 2 things about this contraption. One, we've got a gap in the redstone there. I'm going to talk about that later. And 2, you'll notice all the way over here, we have this little command block here. Actually, we've got 2 back there. So what do those command blocks do in regards to all of this? Well, I'm going to tell you how this works. To keep the snake blocks from just running out without the player on top of them, I have a progress detector. And you might have noticed this a little bit earlier. But what's up with this? This orange glazed terracotta. this is important because that is our player detector. As the snake blocks travel along, there are hazards, and more than likely the player has the potential to fall off. If they fall off, this is when this kicks in. Now, when I implement this into a map, I'm going to be using skulk sensors instead of using the execute command. But in case you're curious, that's what this second command block down here is for. This places a redstone wire all the way over here, right at that block space there, so this trail can continue. So if the player fails to stand on top of that block space where I have it set, then the snake blocks are gonna stop and just get deleted. Which means that if you go to restart the contraption, there's not gonna be another snake block like who knows how many blocks that way. And also, it's worth mentioning, this design is fully customizable. I stand on here. Let's take a look at this. So that's gonna travel up. Whoop, there's that bug I told you about. So this is gonna travel up, and it's gonna do a little swoop-de-loop. This design is fully customizable, although I have to go in and set the blocks for every single block. The way that I built this is I started by building a base design, and you can see that it is stopped. Although it also hasn't removed itself. That's a bug. That shouldn't be the case. So, but you saw that it stopped. So this concept works. It's a little bit bugged right now because, again, I spent 3 hours on this thing. I was mentally depleted. I'm surprised it didn't have more bugs than what I was expecting. But you saw that it stopped because that player detector didn't get activated. So the snake blocks would there's lag. Stand by. The snake blocks would travel off all the way towards the end where the player would reasonably get off. I'm still getting lag. Anyway, the snake blocks would travel along as intended until eventually it's this little guy over here. This would reasonably be our ending platform. Now here's the thing about this design. This took me 3 hours to build, and I don't think there's any more efficient way on building this. But here's what's really scary. This thing is short. Like, if I were to put this in a map, there's no way there'd be enough gameplay time for this to actually classify as a level. I would have to have more stuff out that way. Or I would have the snake block continue. Which is terrifying, because I spent 3 hours on this one little section. And there's only 3 obstacles. There's one here, there's a split path there. Actually, there's 4. There's that there, and then there's... Actually, let me go ahead and just demonstrate in case it wasn't clear. There's 4 different obstacles on the snake block. So, this goes around. The first obstacle, obviously, is just a little loop over here. But the fact that this took 3 hours... Don't expect this to be common in adventure maps, because it's not going to be. Because of the sheer amount of time it takes to build these things, don't expect them to be too common in my maps. So the snake block's going to travel along, it's going to keep going, and then I wanted to show you this little obstacle from the side. So you can see it starts going up, but then it starts going down. But notice it drops 2 blocks. And then it goes up 3 blocks. That shouldn't be there. So that's what that hazard is. If they fall in there, obviously they can't get back up and they're stuck. So that's what that little obstacle is. Obviously, you could have things like skeletons in the wall shooting the player off. Obviously, I would have a lot more different hazards along this course than what I do now. This was just simply for demonstrating purposes. But this thing is quite massive, it's quite time consuming. And if I were to do it again on a map, it would probably be a one-time thing in a map. I'm not dedicating a map to just snake blocks. That would take literal months. And it would kill most of my brain cells. But there we go. Snake blocks in Minecraft. Functional. I'm quite proud of this. I mean, sure, it killed most of my brain cells, but I'm quite proud of this. I can't wait to implement this into a map or some sort. But anyway, just a few more disclaimers about this design. I said fully customizable. I meant fully customizable. You can have this thing go anywhere, and you can have it like split up in different parts. Like there could be an air gap. It didn't have to travel downwards or anything. Or you could make it, instead of using wool, you could make it out of lime, or not lime, what am I saying? You can make it out of ice or magma, better yet, soul sand. That might be challenging. There's a lot you can do with this design, and I'm really happy with it. So, normally, I feel like I would put a world download in the description, and I imagine some of you guys wanted me to put a world download for that contraption back there. But here's the thing. I've got more of these planned. More of these crazy contraptions, and I want to build them all in the same world. So that way, once all these contraptions are done and all these videos are out for Season 1 of Commander Block, then I'll put the world download. I think. But then again, I do kind of want you guys to try to come up with your own designs for things like snake blocks and the beat blocks back there. So I'm interested in hearing what you guys have to say about this cool contraption. This took me 3 hours of the same stupid tasks, placing in command blocks, breaking them, getting cords and whatnot, messing up every so often, using logic to figure out how to like remove the command blocks and whatnot. This took quite a long time, but I'm glad with how it turned out. Anyway, I hope you guys are looking forward to experimenting with snake blocks once I get them implemented into a map. I don't know how long that is going to take, but who knows. And one more thing, as of the time I'm recording this video, I've got a new map in the works. I don't know when that's going to be released. It may be released before this video even comes out, but we'll see. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you guys all next week, where hopefully we've got a bit more of a spicy contraption next week. You'll get the reference. Goodbye!